volunteering your time for us every month or 11 months out of the year. And today we're talking about clean body care, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm excited to learn with everyone today. So I will hand it over.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Lily Cunning. I'm an herbalist here in Ohio and a wellness educator and coach. Let me start sharing my screen real quick. Everybody see that all right?
Yep.
Okay. So one of the things that I talk about a lot with my coaching clients, especially if they have a chronic illness or they're recovering from a profound illness like cancer, is to really work on eliminating a lot of the environmental toxins that we come in contact with every day in the United States. And unfortunately, the government agencies that are supposed to regulate these things and make sure that, they're safe don't really have the bandwidth or the funding to do so. And there aren't a lot of laws in place that give these regulatory bodies teeth, right? Most of the research that's done on formulas is done by the companies making the formulas themselves, and then they turn in that research data to the FDA, for example. There's not any funding for research to make sure that their results are duplicated, which is not how science is supposed to work, right? And the way that these regulatory bodies work is that if enough adverse events, harm, are reported, then they can move, right? And maybe take something off the shelf or ban a chemical. And one thing you should know is that the United States has fewer banned chemicals than other nations that we kind of see ourselves alongside, Canada, Western Europe, things like that. And there are ingredients that are in our body care that are banned in other places. So what we are left with is sort of a caveat emptor, environment where we need to educate ourselves about what is a problem and what is not. And so it can be very overwhelming. And so what I have done is made this class about a process of elimination to make the broadest positive impact on you, the consumer. So here we go. Here we go. So here it is in text. What I pretty much said is that companies do their own testing, and while we are pushing for more government oversight and protection of consumers, it is important for us to educate ourselves on what are good choices in the meantime. So you should know that in our country, there are more bad choices than good choices. So doing a process of elimination is something that can really help you narrow your focus quite quickly. So we're going to look at ingredients, we're going to look at packaging, we're going to look at a few known brands and direct you towards good choices to help make it easier to find things that contain no carcinogens, contain no microplastics, contain no endocrine disrupting chemicals, right? Those are my big three because a lot of them have those. So first thing, let's start with the big stuff. While it's everywhere, it is possible to avoid plastics. Do not buy your body care packaged in plastic, period. Now, what that means is that you may need to change your shopping habits. Instead of buying your big bottle of lotion, for example, from the big box store or the supermarket, you will seek out that lotion from someone that doesn't package it in plastic. It's really about making a few minor changes in how we do things in order to make sure that we remain healthy and the planet remains healthy. And as an herbalist and a holistic practitioner, I want to tell you, those two things, the planet and you, it's the same, right? if we live in a polluted environment, it is only a matter of time before we ourselves become polluted. And that is how it has worked with plastics. Yes, we were throwing things away and they were landfilled and they were incinerated. But as someone who used to work in environmental activism, I can tell you there's no such thing as a way, right? We throw it away, but it's not away. It is still here on the planet with us. And if we bury it, then it becomes toxic leachate that poisons the soil and our groundwater. If we burn it, it becomes toxic particulates in the air, which then poisons not just the air, but the soil and the water. There's no such thing as a way. And so we need, as consumers, because the companies are not going to do it for us, we need to eliminate single use, especially plastics, in our life. And so avoid food and body care that's packaged in plastic. Buy loose produce at the supermarket or at the farmer's market. Buy your body care from someone who makes it in small batches and packages it in glass or metal or paperboard. Because it is costing us. There are microplastics in almost every human body in the United States, and they are causing health problems. So that's the big one, right? We've eliminated 90% of the stuff out there just by saying no more plastic. Then we're going to get into further elimination. Now, I'm going to send cancer support community this deck so that you have the deck to refer to as you're going through your process of elimination. And that way, you can take notes, shirts. I like to take notes to remember things, but you will also have this. They will email it out to you. So here are the big 5 beyond plastic. We need to avoid any any ingredient label that says fragrance or parfum. We need to avoid parabens and fungicides. We need to avoid formaldehydes and all the different ways it manifests on the label, because it doesn't say formaldehyde most of the time, because most people are like, ooh, formaldehyde, that's how they preserve dead bodies. No. So they use different chemical names for it. And dibutyl and diethylhexyl phthalates, so phthalates, and PFAS, which in the media have been called forever chemicals. So you may have heard stories about those, but we're going to get into each one. So let's start with fragrance. So in the United States, fragrance as a term is a legally protected term. It's considered proprietary. It goes back to the days of like the old perfumeries, and they didn't want to let people know what was in that perfume. And so big body care companies use fragrance or parfum as a way to tuck in those ingredients that they don't want to let you know are in your formula, because it has been in the media about parabens, right? Everyone wants to avoid parabens, so now they legally can tuck all of their paraben ingredients into fragrance and not have to disclose it on the label, and they can legally say that they are paraben free on the label.
Wow.
It is a huge scam. And I want to let people know about it because it is being done right now. It is much more cost effective for a large company to change the printing on a label than it is to change their formula, because once they legally change their formula, they have to redo their testing, resubmit it to the FDA, and then print packaging. Why not just tuck all those things under fragrance and just print some more packaging when they run out? That's what's happening in the United States. A good company that you are buying from will list all their ingredients, and instead of fragrance, if they do have a scent, they will tell you where that scent comes from. They will say, essential oil of neroli or whatever it is, whatever they're using to make a smell, they will tell you what it is. As opposed to using fragrance or parfum. And I will also tell you that fragrance oil as an ingredient, because a lot of smaller companies will list fragrance oil on their labels, that is a petrochemical. It is not derived from plants. Fragrance oil is, you can get a lavender fragrance oil that has zero lavender in it. They use it a lot in soap making or in candle making, but sometimes they also use it in body care. It is cheaper than essential oil, and it smells similar, but also I've done sniff tests. So when I teach my essential oil class, for example, I will block the label of bottles. One is a fragrance oil, one is an essential oil. And immediately, like people will smell the fragrance oil and they're like, oh, yeah, that's lavender. And then they'll smell the lavender essential oil and they go, oh my gosh, that one smells so much better. When you have them side by side, you can tell the difference. But when you're just experiencing a product that contains fragrance oil, you probably won't know. So avoid fragrance oil as well. Like I said, a good company will list all their ingredients, and fragrance oil contains multiple ingredients in it, but all they're listing is fragrance oil, right? But they're all petrochemicals. So parabens, which are preservatives and fungicides. Parabens are in formulas to kill mold, especially in like lotions or anything that contains some kind of liquid. Because when you add liquid to a formula, it will start molding naturally. I mean, all of those natural systems of breakdown and decay exist for a reason, right? They're a part of nature. So, in order to avoid that, you have to add some pretty unnatural stuff to stop the cycle of decay, breakdown, and rebirth that happen normally in nature. And parabens are one of them. So, they are anti life, right? And they kill fungus and molds. But in order to do that, they also toxify whatever formula they're in. And you will see them listed like on the label here where it's circled, you know, it'll say butyl propyl or ethyl paraben, but often they will abbreviate it where it says, you know, 2 letters. And I will send you a list of the most common ways that parabens are listed if they are not folded into that fragrance category. But parabens are, when they've done biopsies, particularly of breast cancer, because parabens are often in deodorants, there's lymph here. And so the lymph, it becomes stagnated with these parabens. When they do biopsies of breast cancer tumors, they find parabens present. They are in over 90%. I can't remember the exact number, but it is quite large that these parabens are in those tumors. It is very important for you to avoid parabens. And the way to do that is to read labels and find companies that are against these products and deliberately formulate products that do not contain them. All right. And if folks can mute themselves, that would be helpful because I can hear a little bit of background noise. I'm not sure if everybody is muted or not. All right. So formaldehydes. This is a systemic poison, but they are in these products to preserve them. So this whole ingredient family, and I've listed many of them here. I bet you if you have bought shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant from a big box store, that some of these ingredients are in it and they are formaldehyde. It is carcinogenic and you should avoid it. And again, you will get this list from me after the presentation, but you know, it's present in so many body care products. One of the things that I will tell folks to do if you are going through and trying to audit your body care is Environmental Working Group is your friend. They are a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to eliminating toxins from our environment in products, in the air, in the water, in the soil, and they have databases. They have a skin deep database of body care and cosmetics where you can look up products by their name or ingredients to find out if they are problematic. If you find one of those alphabet soup ingredients in one of your products and you don't know what it is and you don't know if it's bad or not, you can enter that in the Skin Deep database and it will tell you. And they make it really easy. They give things a grade between A and F, just like in school, and then they tell you why. That website is ewg.org. It's very simple, ewg.org, Environmental Working Group. Now, phthalates, I don't know why we put these in body care, because they are usually used to soften plastic. You know that punching clown that everybody had as a kid where you'd punch it and it'd get right back up and it was kind of soft and inflatable, or a beach ball? Those contain phthalates because the plastic is softer and not brittle. But they put them in body care too, and they are endocrine disruptors, huge class of endocrine disruptors, which I don't know if folks know what that means, but your endocrine system regulates pretty much everything in your body. Hormones regulate your temperature, your ability to have children, your thyroid, your pancreas, like all of the glands, all the hormonal glands are regulated first by the pituitary gland. And when you get disruption in that system of hormonal cascades, so the pituitary creates a hormone that tells the thyroid to create a hormone, or the parathyroid, or the pancreas, like it's a cascade of hormones, and the whole system works when it's not disrupted. But these are endocrine disruptors. They either link to the receptors, or they block the receptors and they stop those normal hormonal cascades from happening. And so they cause huge problems in the body. Can lead to cancer, it can lead to fertility issues, it can lead to autoimmune dysfunction. All different kinds of problems come from phthalates. So, you know, there are a number of different compounds. And again, ewg.org is your friend. They will tell you all about phthalates. I think they have a whole booklet on what they are and their most common manifestations in products. But yeah, they are very bad for your health. And also, just don't buy those soft plastic toys either. If you have children or grandchildren, like those cheap plastic toys are not their friends either. All right. PFAs, forever chemicals. These are chemicals that do all kinds of issues. They disrupt fertility and the endocrine system. They make it so that your blood cholesterol skyrockets, and also your blood pressure. They affect your circulatory system in that way. If pregnant women are exposed to them, lower infant birth weight and complications, decrease infertility if you're trying to conceive and you are exposed to PFAS, which you know, is actually challenging to not be. There are articles that I will send you along with this slideshow that will tell you about these forever chemicals, what they're commonly called, and how to avoid them. Because here's the thing, I know I'm overwhelming you with a lot of bad news, but the one thing we can control is what we put in on our body and what we bring into our homes, right? We can't control the whole world, but we can control our stuff, our immediate environment. And so if we are able to do that and go through our homes and go through our body care and eliminate those, we've already done a vast majority of detoxifying that I suggest my clients do. So take this as a way to empower you to make your immediate environment that you spend the vast majority of your time in, your home, safer and cleaner. So here's the thing. A lot of companies are not listing the compounds that are forever chemicals in their ingredients, which leads me to believe that they're putting them in their fragrance, right? And so it causes a lot of concerns and risks. I would venture to guess that, when you go into like a drugstore and there's that whole cosmetic aisle that you can go down. When I was a teenage girl, like I would spend a long time looking at all the different eyeshadow colors and eyeliner colors and lipsticks and figure out like which one I wanted to get. I would venture to guess that all of those cheap cosmetics in that aisle contain PFAs. I would also venture to guess that even the more expensive ones that have their own counters at the, you know, at the department stores, at Macy's and all of those legacy stores also contain some of these. And again, avoiding anything that says fragrance or parfum and, going with companies that are transparent in their labeling. And these are usually the smaller companies that speak out on toxins in body care and cosmetics, who know their supply chain and are happy to answer questions, right? Like I don't make cosmetics, but I do make some body care, and I list every single ingredient on there. I list what I use as a preservative. I, talk about, I don't put any colors in the products that I make, but I do use scent with essential oils and hydrosols, and they are listed on the ingredients. And there are many companies like mine that do that. So, shop small, shop artisanal, shop with companies that have transparency. It's just a matter of shifting how you buy these products, right? And frankly, maybe once a month we're buying body care. So it is a doable process to sort of redo how we buy these things. So here's an example of two labels for deodorant. On the left is my Pit Paste, and on the right is a Dove deodorant stick. So immediately, first of all, you should know the Pit Paste is packaged in glass and metal, and the deodorant stick is packaged in plastic. So if you were following the guidelines that I was setting out, you wouldn't even look at the deodorant stick. There are deodorant sticks, though, that you can buy in big box stores that are packaged in like paperboard tubes where you push up the tube. So then you go to the ingredient list, right? So immediately the Dove would be eliminated, but let's pretend that it was in a paper tube. So then we look at the ingredients. So we've got aluminum, zirconium, and tetrachlorohydex GLY as the active ingredients. And then below you have inactive ingredients. That's how you would read this. So the very top is active ingredients. They are listed as the things that make the product work. And you can notice, first of all, that this is an antiperspirant, not just a deodorant. I would advise everyone to avoid antiperspirants. Some people sweat a lot, I understand, but blocking your body's ability to release toxins, which is what sweat is. It's not just about cooling the body. It's about your sweat actually releases toxins out of the lymph, for example, is not a good idea. You want your body to eliminate things. You want to be able to urinate, defecate, and sweat. Those are your body's three ways of eliminating toxins from the body. So first of all, buy deodorant and not antiperspirant. But second of all, look at these ingredients and what an alphabet soup we have. So let's look at the inactive ingredients as well. So there's aluminum in this, which is something that we have been told to avoid if we want to avoid Alzheimer's later in life. Being constantly exposed to aluminum is problematic. And so no. B, it's an antiperspirant. Now let's look at the inactive ingredients. So we've got cyclopentosiloxane. Does anyone know what that is? I don't. I don't know what that is. I would need to look it up. And that's what I would do. Before I bought this product and just went, whatever, and just grabbed it off the shelf, I would be in the aisle looking on my phone, trying to figure out what it was. Sterile alcohol, okay. That just helps the product evaporate and dry a little bit. isopropyl palmitate, PPG 14 butyl ether. So those are parabens. Talc, which we know is a carcinogen as well. They could have used clay in here. They could have used starches in here, but they used talc. Mineral oil, which is a petrochemical. Mineral oil, which we used to put on babies' butts all the time. Baby oil is mineral oil. I wouldn't put on anything other than machinery, like metal gears and stuff. I would not use mineral oil on my body. There are plenty of really lovely plant-based oils that you can put on your body for moisturizing without using mineral oil. Hydrogenated castor oil, C12 alkyl benzoate, dimethicone, fragrance, and PEG 8 and BHT. BHT is a preservative, which I would also avoid in food. You'll see it a lot in processed meat. It is a carcinogen. So this is what the big companies like Unilever, who owns Dove, put in their deodorant / antiperspirant. These are things that you would avoid. And again, you don't have to memorize what each ingredient is for. If you just follow the no plastic, no fragrance, using only essential oils and hydrosols for scent, sold in small quantities that can be used within a month. Usually those deodorant sticks last you like 3, 4, 5, 6 months. They're so big. Same with a shampoo bottle, same with a lotion bottle. My goodness, those lotions last like a year in those big pump bottles. But the reason that they can sell you something so big is because it is so pumped full of chemicals that it will remain mold-free and shelf-stable for that long. A natural lotion will be emulsified with a natural emulsifier so that it has that creamy texture, but it starts separating, especially when exposed to temperature fluctuations or time. And you need to sort of re-emulsify them by the way that you do with a salad dressing, shaking it up or mixing it. And after a month, you can use a natural preservative that will last about a month. I use fermented products, so probiotics in mine, and I sell it in a month's supply, right? So I use the preservative that lasts about a month. I sell it to you in a month's supply. And then you can go ahead and get another one in a month. And that way I can avoid using all of the alphabet soup preservatives, shelf stabilizers, homogenizers that these big companies use. Because I will tell you, by the time you take that bottle of lotion off the shelf and put it in your cart, it's at least a year old. At least. Because it goes from the manufacturer to their warehouse, from their warehouse to the distributor's warehouse, from the distributor's warehouse to the retailer's warehouse, from the retailer's warehouse to the big box store, goes in the back, and then eventually it makes its way to the shelf. That takes about a year. So, they're making these products so that they last a long time and they can just sort of keep up the constant flow of product. But the expense is your health. So again, these 4 things will help you look for a good product, a product that's not going to add a toxic load to your life. And this is what I recommend people do when they start this process. Now, do I also recommend looking up what's in your home to see if some of them are worth keeping? Absolutely. And Environmental Working Group can help you do that. But here are some brands that I like that that are dedicated to not toxifying you. So obviously the ones that we make, I'm here talking about it, right? Like that is what I do. And we don't make a ton of body care. It is not our main focus, but I do make deodorant. I do make facial care and facial products. I make dental products like a gum and mouth rinse and tooth powders. By the way, I highly recommend using tooth powder over toothpaste because again, when you introduce a liquid of some sort that makes it a paste, you have to add a whole bunch of ingredients there. And also, most American toothpastes contain sodium lauryl sulfate, SLS or SLES, which is a corrosive. They use it to degrease engines in factories. It causes a lot of canker sores. If you have a problem with canker sores, I would immediately look to see if your toothpaste contains SLS, SLES, or sodium lauryl or laureth sulfate, because it causes, the skin to separate, and it causes lesions. Um, they make people who use it in factories wear gloves, masks, and eye goggles. But it's in your toothpaste and it's in your shampoo. It's the thing that makes things lather. If your toothpaste kind of foams up or your shampoo foams up, chances are there's SLS in there. Anyway, I diverged. Sorry. So Haven, we don't make a lot of stuff. We do make the fundamentals. But also Dr. Hauschka skincare. It is imported. It's a little expensive, but the tubes that they sell are metal. No, the product does not come in contact with any plastic. And it is organic and biodynamic, amazingly effective. When I lived in San Francisco, there was a store near me that carried Dr. Hauschka's whole line, and that's where I got it. And it was like my special, treat. I really enjoy Dr. Hauschka. And then 310 Soap Company is here in Ohio. They make soap, they make body oil, not lotion. Haven makes lotion, but we do it by pre-order or subscription only. That way I know how much to make, and I can make what people have pre-ordered and ship it out to them fresh. They get it within a day, right? And then it's good for a month, and then they can get the next month sent to them. So all of our lotions, which include sunscreen, magnesium lotion, wild yam cream, and then body lotions, those all are done by pre-order or subscription. But 310 Soap Company decided they wanted to make moisturizers too, but instead of making lotions, which is very time consuming, I will tell you, they do body oils. And so immediately after showering, you would apply a body oil as a moisturizer. And they are also dedicated to clean body care. And I've met the woman that started the line and formulates everything. She used to work for the EPA. She used to go to Superfund sites of highly polluted areas and do cleanup. And so she knows what those communities faced having that kind of toxic load in their immediate environment. And she became dedicated to creating a line that was non-toxic. So that's what 310 Soap Company is all about. And these links are embedded in the presentation so that when you get it after this is over, you can go directly to those companies. And here's ewg.org to investigate and manage the products in your home. Check out the databases at EWG. They also have a database to check your local drinking water supply, to look at things that are in your home like furnishings and appliances. Like, you'd be surprised at what is in and on those things. If you buy a new piece of furniture, you need to make sure that when you're buying it, it isn't covered in stain-resistant coating, because that's a carcinogen. Teflon, Scotchgard, all of those things. And that goes for the pans too. The nonstick pans that are coated in Teflon are carcinogens. So EWG really helps with things like that. And I will send you this this slideshow as well as a couple other articles. I'll send it to Darlene, and then she'll send it out today. But now we have time for questions. And if you don't want to unmute, that's fine. You can also put it in the chat. But feel free to unmute and ask a question. We have about 20 minutes and I'm able to fill it, but I want to make sure that questions get answered.
I am assuming that the same concerns go for candles or the type of aerosol sprays, etc.
Oh, yes. So I'll take one at a time because they're kind of separate products. So with candles, you want to get a candle that is made with a natural wax, not paraffin. You want to get a candle that tells you what the wick is made from, because many of the commercial candles out there, like that you buy at the mall or whatever, contain heavy metals, and you're just dispersing heavy metals into the air. So you want one with that a cotton or a paper or a combination wick. You want to make sure that it's a natural wick. Some wicks now are just a splint of wood that is a slow burning wood. So there are lots of different kinds of natural wicks. So look at the wax, look at the wicks, make sure it's not artificial colors that are being used, because those are petrochemicals. And the scent, right? You want to make sure that the scent is from essential oils and not from fragrance oils. So there are 4 things to look at with candles. And once you find a natural candle company, just buy from them, right? It's just a matter of finding the one company that has products that you like. Now, with those smelly sprays and plugins and things like that, avoid them altogether, because A, there's nothing natural about them. B, you're bringing in plastics and all kinds of extra waste into the waste stream. And C, many of those products, like I will mention one by name, Febreze, right? They say that they eliminate odors. No. The way you eliminate odors is removing what smells from your environment. That's how you remove odors. What they do is they deaden the nerve endings in your nose. That's what they do. So yes, they are making it so that it doesn't smell bad in your house, kind of, to you. They're making it so that you can't smell. And over time, that can cause some serious problems to your nervous system. They also just contain chemicals that you don't want to be inhaling in your environment. So yeah, avoid those for sure. And if you want nice smells in your house, right? Like you want to do whatever, you could bake. Those smells are great, right? You can also simmer things on a stovetop in a pot. That's what we used to do, right? It still works. Or you can use an essential oil diffuser and disperse essential oils. I don't recommend doing that all the time, though, because essential oils are highly concentrated amounts of specific phytochemicals. Instead of like burning cinnamon, like simmering cinnamon sticks, that's the whole piece of bark, right? But cinnamon essential oil is like 2 or 3 specific phytochemicals that are in that bark, highly concentrated. And your body would never naturally come in contact with that amount of that phytochemical all the time. So essential oils are chemicals. They are sourced from plants, but they are still chemicals and they're highly concentrated. So essential oil diffusion can happen strategically. I don't recommend doing it all the time. Essential oils are remedies, not tonics. Tonic is something that you do regularly, perhaps daily, to stay well. But essential oils are for acute situations or temporary situations, right? You can put them in body care and get exposed that way. And I will tell you, a good company that uses essential oils in their products will tell you what percentage they used. Like for me, when I do lotions, it's 5%, right? Up to 5% of the formula is essential oils. And that is because that is a therapeutic amount, but it is not too much for your body to handle. A healthy body that is an adult without immunocompromised situations. But for, therapeutic things, I'll do maybe slightly higher, right? If I'm doing something for a bee sting, I might go up to 10%. But when you're diffusing, it's going everywhere, regardless of who is in the room. And people who have respiratory issues should probably not be inhaling a lot of essential oils all the time. Also, if you have cats, it diffuses into the air, it lands on them. Cats do not have the enzymes to process essential oils, and they lick their fur to clean themselves. I don't recommend diffusing in a home with cats or exotic animals like reptiles or birds. Dogs, it's fine. But for those reasons, diffusion may not be your answer. It may be smelling it from the bottle or using an inhaler for you, using essential oils. And I have a whole class on this. I'll probably do it again in 2026. I don't think we have one this year on essential oil safety. But I also have an online course. If you're really interested in essential oils and taking a deep dive, I do have an online course called Sniff Test. So yeah, I hope that answered your questions.
It did. Thank you.
Sure. And does anyone have any more questions? Feel free to unmute or put it in the chat.
Well, I have one. I have switched to using a lot of vinegar for cleaning.
Excellent.
But unfortunately, to buy the big jugs, they are all plastic. Is there any benefit to bringing, I do have some glass big pitchers that I use. Is there any benefit to, when I get it, to bring it home and dump it into those? Does that help at all or not?
Yes, it does help because microplastics are formed with continual degradation of the plastic container into the formula. So the sooner you get it out of plastic, the less that is likely to happen. And of course, we know vinegar is a corrosive, right? It's a mild one, but it is. So yes, getting it out of the plastic. And here is how to up your sustainability game even further. Make your own vinegar. Make your own vinegar. So yeah, I know, right? So in Columbus, there is a winemaker shop in Clintonville. You can buy a glass carboy from them and get the fermenting stuff. Now, they use it to make alcohol, but what is vinegar? It's the precursor to alcohol, right? You only ferment it so long, and it's vinegar. If you let it ferment, it'll go to alcohol. You can make it yourself. And you know what? It will cost you pennies to make a huge glass carboy, because what you use is your vegetable scraps, right? All those carrot tops, all those celery butts, all of that, that's what you're fermenting to make vinegar. You can keep them in a baggie in the freezer until you're ready to put them in the carboy. But yeah, make your own vinegar. Why not?
Okay. Right.
I know. I'm a little obsessed about this topic. You can tell. Like I've researched a lot. I do a lot of this myself. I, for example, have been buying a ridiculous amount of produce from the farmers market the last few weeks, and every weekend I have been canning, right? Pressure canning. So my shelves are now full of things that I have for the winter because I don't want to buy cans of tomatoes from the supermarket with the BPA liners, right? Even if they say BPA free, they've done tests, a lot of them still contain BPA. And that is not necessarily a deliberate lie on the part of that company. They rely on the people that make the cans being honest, you know? And the industrial food system just has so many places where it can go south. So I can my own tomatoes, my own corn. I'd buy dried beans and not canned beans, and I cook them in my Instant Pot. It doesn't take very long, and that way I avoid all those BPA liners. I don't buy cans of stuff. I pickled a bunch of jalapenos this weekend. I made my own salsa, and I invested in a bunch of mason jars, right? Ball jars, mason jars.
Yeah. One other thing is just an interesting thing, and I don't know if you've heard about this or how you feel about it, but I know I go through a lot of fresh stuff that comes in bags or these plastic containers, you know, like the spinach and salads and things like that. And I was online and looking, and they have this thing called a mason jar genie. And that you switch your produce, it can be berries, it can be your salad, into mason jars, and then this thing actually seals it out. You put it on top, and you can reuse the same lid over and over. I mean, It's not canning, it won't, you still have to refrigerate it and everything, but it says it will keep it longer. And I only got it because I thought, well, that'll get rid of some more plastic, and really I can stack those jars up in my fridge a little easier too.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds great. I will definitely check that out. Anything we can do. Like I bought some cloth produce bags so that even when I'm at the farmer's market, a lot of those market vendors will take your lettuce and they'll put it in a plastic bag for you and give it to you. Well, no, I hand them my fabric bag. And then they don't weigh anything like the plastic bags, and they can weigh it and tell me how much my lettuce is. any swaps that we can make, and it can be a gradual thing, right? It becomes overwhelming if you try to do everything all at once. But when you look at where the toxins are in your home, let's say dryer sheets, big no-no. Dryer sheets are endocrine disrupting and carcinogenic and full of that horrible fragrance. Wool dryer balls. You buy them once and they last forever. You no longer need to buy those dryer sheets. So you're saving money. You're getting rid of a toxin. Like, you can do that over and over. And if you like the scent, just take your dryer ball out, put a couple drops of essential oil on it and throw it back in, right? Pick a scent that you want. That way you get to pick your scent and it's a natural one. So there are so many very simple swaps that we can do over time to detoxify our homes. And, mine was not all at once. Like, I've been doing this for decades and I still find places where I'm like, I can make that better. I can do that differently. It's a matter of habit and it's a matter of education. And that's really all it is. Do it gradually over time. Take out the really big ones first. And then, every time you need to buy something new, find out if it's worth it or if there's an alternative, right? Bamboo toothbrushes, right? Like, they make toothbrushes that are not plastic bristles. They're natural bristles and they're made of bamboo and they compost. Who knew? Right?
Yeah, on that subject, you mentioned earlier about a tooth, a
Powder?
powder instead of a paste. Is that commercially done? I mean, can you buy that commercially, or do I?
Yeah.
do you have to
So
get that
one of the
through you?
things that I've started doing, because I do not make a lot of body care, is I have made Haven Herbs sort of a clearinghouse. I vet different companies and then I'm starting to carry companies that I really like. And so tooth powders and tooth tablets are what I would say are good because we can eliminate the plastic tube. We can eliminate the moisture that's in the formula that requires a bunch of toxic preservatives. I've used both powders and tablets. So with a tablet, it's just like a little pellet and you start chewing it up and then you brush your teeth with it. With powder, you just wet your brush and you put the powder on there and then you brush with it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, right? And some have flavor, some do not. But they use all natural ingredients like baking soda, activated charcoal, essential oils to clean your teeth with mild abrasives and maybe some antimicrobials to kill the bacteria that are building up in your mouth and cause gingivitis. But yeah, tooth powders and toothpastes. I recently added a whole bunch to the Haven Herbs website, but just Google tooth powder, toothpaste. Immediately eliminate anything packaged in plastic. A lot of them aren't anymore, glass or cardboard. One tooth tablet that I'm using right now is by the Humble Company. I think it's made in Sweden and it's in a paperboard tube. And, all the tablets are in there and I chew it up and, brush my teeth that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I saw Darlene come on camera. Do you have a question, Darlene?
I was just thinking when you were talking about toothpaste, I see silica a lot in there. Is that okay or not?
Silica is not toxic. I wouldn't swallow it, but silica is often used as a drying agent. They don't want you to ingest it though. If you look at those little silica packets, it says, please do not eat, because it's not good for you to consume in large quantities. So if you happen to swallow your toothpaste, maybe go with a different brand. Yeah.
And what about for floss? I keep hearing about the forever chemicals. Is there something
Yes.
out there that's decent?
Yes. My website right now is down. Otherwise, I would direct you there. But there are flosses that are made with vegetable waxes on them, and they're packaged in glass with a metal cap that cuts it. I carry one on my website. My website should be back up by the end of the day. I'm upgrading things and it's down temporarily, but yeah, there are flosses out there that are safe and natural. Absolutely. Same with mouthwashes. Don't use Listerine. It's banned in Australia, because it's implicated in cancer, mouth cancer. So, there are plenty of things that you can do to make a rinse or to use a natural rinse. I make one called Swish and Spit. Yeah, there's plenty out there. There are alternatives. You just have to go looking for them. And like I said, once the Haven Herbs website is up, I'm starting, especially for things that I don't make, but I know people need. I'm starting to try and make it a clearinghouse of natural, sustainable, safe alternatives. Like I added a whole menstruators line with period underwear and cups and natural tampons and pads made of unbleached cotton for when you're traveling. Like all of these things that we need, or some of us need, I don't need, but some of us, in our lives, but we need safe alternatives to what's out there. You can't just walk into a store and trust that it's good for you, which is appalling, but the state of affairs we're in. So let's educate ourselves and move forward. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. We have 5 more minutes together. Does anyone have any more questions? Feel free to put them in the chat if you're shy. So one thing I will tell you, so I, as an herbalist, I do several different things. I teach classes like this one, and I also have online courses. I mentioned one earlier called Sniff Test, which is about essential oil safety. I teach one on herbalism called the People's Medicine Course. And I have one on incense because a lot of people like to have their houses smell. Well, natural incense is a thing, and there's a bunch of synthetic, nasty incense out there too. And so I teach people about the history, the geography, the chemicals that you should avoid, and then how to make your own. So I do classes and education. I also do consultations. I'm a wellness coach. And if you are interested in that, just shoot me an email. I work with people. My specialty is autoimmune dysfunction and cancer and fertility, all those endocrine things. But I also help people with their seasonal allergies or, whatever. And then I make products for Haven Herbs and vet products. When I lived in Columbus, I had a brick and mortar store, and that's what I did there too. I had a whole store, and it wasn't all things that I made, but it was things that I vetted. And people came to me because they knew I was really strict about what I was willing to carry, right? It had to be organic, ethical, pronounceable, and effective. Those are my 4, right? So, yeah. So that's what I do. Havenherbs.com is where all that lives. Hopefully by the end of the day, because right now, again, the website is down, which drives me crazy, but I will fix that very soon. And I will get you all the deck and some handouts about what we talked about today. I'll send them to Darlene, and then she'll send them out to you all. It was really great having you here. I have time for one more question if people have it. Otherwise, we can part ways a couple minutes early.
Thank you so much. You are a wealth of information.
Oh, thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, I always really like coming and doing these classes. And if I'm planning on being in Columbus, maybe we'll make one happen in person again. I used to do them in person before the pandemic, but yeah. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks, Lily. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.